I just got a text this morning from my sister who is asking me questions about what her son should do with his 401k, whether or not he should max out the Roth. And I'm going to say, yes, max the Roth. Let me see if I can get Jack, because Jack's the one I'd really like to get on this. Also, I'd like to get Jenny. Because if we just had 5 minutes, we could have a very, very constructive. Oh, great. Jenny is solid. So we almost had in-house counsel. A nice woman from Pittsburgh reached out to me, and we spent a couple hours together on Monday. And then I started to bombard her with documents and so forth, and I think she got overwhelmed. She realized, like, wow, this is a complex project. No, but attorneys frequently are like, they don't want to get over their skis, right? They want to make, it has to be like, who am I representing? But in-house counsel would be really a nice thing to have. I'm going to keep working on that.
Yeah, if you do get someone with for kind of that role, I would love to work with them on at least getting a privacy policy and terms of service type of thing for us to throw onto the website, and then just run by them some GLBA stuff for compliance.
Can you join us? So along that, you join us. I think I'm a little bit dopey this morning. Forgive me. I got my vaccination yesterday, and I woke up like as though I didn't sleep at all. So anyways, so Ashley is the nice young lady who has helped me through this project, probably going back to like last fall. And she's sort of become like my confidant about a lot of things as they develop, because she's been with me so long. She's like a bit of a sounding board. And her boyfriend, hopefully to be fiance very soon, teaches law at St. Vincent in Latrobe. That's where the Steelers practice, by the way. And he's quite young. He's in his early 30s. And she mentioned that he would probably have an interest in producing a curriculum. And this goes back to this Bruno U idea, which we'll discuss later. And I walked through the buildings that we own. I'll explain who we is in a minute. And this is really a very unique opportunity. I mean, because I think somebody like him could probably get college credits awarded to the things that we're teaching, right? So, I mean, just what you just said, Lyle, like issues of like security and legal control and stuff like that, that's all new. Like even talking to Matt Coffin about a DAO, he said, in one way, DAOs are very simple. They're like glorified LLCs. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, they can become really complex because they're digital. And like literally the Secretary of State of Wyoming is just starting to do these for the first. I think it's actually a fun situation. Is there an opportunity to make a mistake? Yes. But I think if we all, stick to our knitting and put one foot in front of the other. So I emailed, just to get on with it. So I emailed to all of you the Kingdom Trust investment direction form. The custody, see if I have it in my phone. And my contact there is a nice young woman named Tara Bogard. I love that name. Okay. No, that's the fee. Okay, Jack's coming. So we'll make small talk until Jack gets here. And And I'm going to see if I can pull this up. Anyways, so it's like the menu of what you're allowed to do at Kingdom Trust. And because Jenny started to move things forward, we realized at IRA Financial, stupid name, you had to pick one of 3 ways to proceed. And each one of those costs $300. And they have one it's just a blank checkbook. Now think about this. So you can take your IRA money, drop it into this checkbook custodial relationship. You have to pay $1,000 up front. And then you could go buy golden retrievers. You see what that's a joke, but like you could go do anything and try to make money with it, and it's tax deferred. Secondly, you could do a custodial relationship, which would do, this is again through IRA Financial. So you could do more classic sort of private placements kinds of stuff, like you know, you and 6 other people are going to invest in a strip mall and put in a bowling alley, blah blah blah, right? Mm-hmm. And the third was a relationship with Gemini to trade cryptos. So the problem we have is we're sort of like in between those two things. We have a token, but it doesn't trade on any of the major exchanges, right? And this is sort of like what I've asked Travis to sort of start to familiarize himself with, is what's required to get us up on Masari, CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, etc. And then what are the volume levels? What does somebody like Kraken or Gemini want in terms of market cap in order for us to apply to get on there? Well, at the same time, Travis is also working on an application with the Uniswap Foundation. So that's sort of all the same thing, like go out and tell the story and see how we can, you know, plant the flag in a more significant way. But right now we're sort of stuck between private placement and the world of approved digital assets. So as you look through the form, you're going to see what you expect. There's a box you check whenever you want to trade stocks and bonds. There's a box you check for precious metals, and they have 2 or 3 custodial places to store your gold and silver. Private equity, real estate, and single member LLCs. Let's just talk about that for a minute. Is everybody following me so far? Like, does this all make sense? Yeah, I mean, it's sort of intuitive what you'd expect. So the single member LLC is sort of like the checkbook thing. So I make an LLC for myself called, you know, Jimmy's Big Adventure LLC. I drop all the money into that. And like my dad and I like buy and sell lambs or something weird like that. By the way, Kingdom Trust was started, the first client wanted to buy cattle, which I think is cool. They're in Western Kentucky. It's an awesome place to graze cattle. The guy was, I guess, very, very wealthy. And he's like, I don't trust that shit in Wall Street. I want to buy cattle. I understand cattle. I think that's sort of a neat story to like understand all this stuff. But so the fact that we're in this slightly gray area, I don't think is the end of the world. Quite the contrary. Like, this is a situation where a problem is an opportunity to be solved, and we can explain it to everybody. So this is going to go to Rob. Rob sent me an email back today or this week, and he said, I don't want to invest in your LLC, meaning Ligonier Capital.
Good. Yeah, that's what he was saying, right? That's what I thought you had said. Sorry, I was like in my notes that he wasn't intending to do that. I was totally confused. Now I'm back on track. I'm so glad my light bulb just went off. Thank you.
Good, Jack. Some time. So Rob came back to us and said, I want to buy your token. I like Dow Squared. I like what you're doing. I want to join the Discord channel, but I don't want to be in your LLC. And it's Ligonier Capital that was formed 10 years ago. And the reason I did that is I was trying to do it as an abundance of caution for him, and then also to create the paper trail for Kingdom Trust or IRA Financial. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. But let's just kick this up a notch. So what we might do, and if he listens to this, he'll hear the thinking behind it. Ligonier Capital is going to be replaced by a new investment management company that'll be domiciled in Wyoming, because I want Matt Kaufman to do all my legal work, right? So he can like see the whole world of Bruno and how it all fits together. And Wyoming's a great place to incorporate. It's number 3 behind Delaware and Nevada. It's a great place to open an LLC. They invented the LLC. So Linear Capital could actually do business as something like Bruno Agent or Bruno Transfer or Dow Escrow or some other name like that that implies the obvious. That is, Jack opens up a Kraken account or a Coinbase account, both of which have direct access to the banking system. So you can do wires and so forth. Coinbase is very expensive. I mean, I bought $50,000 of Ethereum for a guy, and I think the commission was like 900, or not 900, like $750. And I'm like, it's like old-fashioned stock commissions. It's crazy. I think Kraken is much, much cheaper. We'll have to look into that. So anyways, so we have like this one account, let's say Kraken. Rob's $100,000 or $98,000, whatever it's going to be, comes to Kingdom Trust. The investment direction letter says, send this to Dow Transfer or Bruno Transfer, something like that. We all are board members that control that thing. And then we ask an attorney or an accountant to actually have the keys to move the money, not us, if you follow the argument. And then they buy ETH and send ETH either into Jack's wallet or to Uniswap to purchase DAOs. Does that all make sense? So all we're doing is making a bucket. So Kingdom Trust drops the money in, and then we can go out and buy our DAOs and related assets. Make sense? Because there's not the plumbing right now to do this. We have to create this digital private placement thing. So there has to be one step in between that's like a private placement. So on that investment direction, this is effectively private equity. And we need like one more bucket for Kingdom Trust to drop they would send cash into that bucket, and then that bucket would buy Ethereum, and then we'd go purchase any of our DAO, any DAO entity that we made. So that's that. And if some enterprising person could just take the last 3 minutes of what I just said and cut that into a video, I'd like to send just that piece to Rob and say, hey, Rob, here's what we're thinking, and here's what we want to proceed with. Would you please reconsider using our LLC, and we can get this transaction done. Okay. So also,
Hey, Jim, I've got a question.
Yeah.
Just because I'm trying to like cement in my head where it's at, and that's, sorry for my affirmation there, but it was me like, oh, I get, okay. So anyhow, with like Kingdom Trust or IRA Financial, could it be that just simply the DAO that's representing the pool applies for the checkbook option? Isn't that what that is? And so not every individual is doing it, and but they're still benefiting from pooling in the DAO, or is it per individual? I understood that the LLC option was really could be multi-member. That's what the checkbook represents, yeah, rather than a sole individual. So it wouldn't be every person. Can we get that? Yeah.
Described as like is almost exactly what I just described. It's actually just a detail of, do we go through, problem is we need to go from the checkbook to Ethereum. Mm-hmm. I think we need a Kraken or a Coinbase account. When I was in Wyoming, just to like tell the history of the whole thing, the Wyoming story 2 years ago was, how does the crypto world and the banking world connect? Because if you open any sort of digital platform or crypto bullshit or whatever you're working on, and you start moving money in and out of the banking system, you become a bank. So that's really the first wave of legislation that they put through there, was like, how does digital and banking fit together? So what happened was, right, I mean, that's why in the restaurant, my dad and I were sitting there, and I'm like, Dad, guy over there with the ponytail, that's Jesse Powell. He owns Kraken. He's a billionaire. And it was like 4 months later, they awarded Kraken the second actually, banking license for digital assets, because that's the black magic there. That's why, like, So if Kingdom Trust took in the $100,000, they could send it to Kraken through the ACH system, just like you and I shoot money to each other, or whenever you're buying a house, etc. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of the background of like how this all fits together, because it's really not as confusing as it first appears. It's just that it's all new and people haven't plugged it together yet.
I like the idea of Kraken.
The other
As
thing,
opposed to like Kraken above Coinbase would be my vote personally, because they've just got absolutely stellar safety and security. They've got staking integrated into their, they've got, it's really
It's very-
dynamic, and it seems like a more advanced layer that really will facilitate our future needs. Coinbase feels end user to me. That's why I have people starting like their first step is, you know, there, and then distribute from there. That's just my opinion.
Yep. Now, the other thing it would make it simpler is Kingdom Trust does do digital custody with Fidelity. So maybe we could ask them to look into that bucket just going through Fidelity. In other words, the cash comes in. It might be the Kingdom Trust could do that in-house. Cash comes in, goes directly into some sort of Bruno pass-through. They buy Ethereum, and then internally they send it to either Jack's wallet, as we call it, or to Uniswap. So the other thing we haven't talked about is, and not to muddy the water, but just because all the possibilities are available right now. For the most part, we're telling people to buy DAO Squared and hold it, you know, like forever. But we could also say, people do like to trade. There's just no question about it. And we're trying to build some liquidity in DAO Squared. We could also have another format where we say, send us $27,000 and we'll build the parameters to trade it and purposely start to put the liquidity onto the Uniswap trading pool. It's just another idea. Because thinly traded securities generally have, like, a local bank may trade, like a little local bank like Medford, Oregon, you know, credit union, or, you know, savings and trust. It may only trade like 1,000 shares a week. That actually makes it, like, the spread really big. It actually makes it something interesting, because there'll be people that come on to try to dump shares and there's no buyers. I'm digressing. But I think that next step is that next bucket is what I'll talk to Tara about and see how we get that figured out. And if I can make Rob feel comfortable with what we're doing, I think we can proceed with this transaction. Jenny, I like your idea of Kraken. The other thing is it fits in with our Wyoming theme.
Yes.
And, you know, he could have gone anywhere. He could have gone to the Caymans. He could have gone to Switzerland. He could have done whatever. He went to Wyoming. And Wyoming passed that legislation for the Jesse Powells of the world to come be like, hey, we'll help you do this. You know, we'll make this connection. And I rode the elevator with him. We didn't say a word to each other, but no, but he's a really interesting guy. Kraken got started trading the little weapons and points from video games. Isn't that cool? Like, I don't play video games, but my kids do. But like, if you're playing like World of Warcraft or something, and you get like the big treasures box or something, and then you get sick of the game, like someone will buy that from you for like $2 or something. I don't know. That's how he got started in like digital trading. Do you want to you guys want to talk about Bruno U? So I toured, it was actually some pretty big news. So on Monday, I toured the property. This is 227, 229, and 231 on Fort Pitt Boulevard. You can look it up on LoopNet, where commercial real estate trades. These are 150-year-old buildings. I took some videos. I'm going to put them on TikTok. They're right along the Monongahela River. They're completely empty. I found out yesterday that the bank will take less than they would get out of the deal for a significant number less than is owed. And this is 60,000 square feet. I mean, like this, you could literally start a small college there. Like you could have 30 people sleep there, and conference rooms and seminar rooms and classrooms and basements and like a wine bar and like the whole, it's like all right there. And it actually would really fit the building. Lots of exposed wood, and these are old warehouse buildings, literally from like the 1860s, the 1870s. So here's the fun part. My clients, basically the same friends and family who Jack is in the process of giving Dow Squared to, are also owners in this building. And then there's a much wealthier family who owns the common. So when you think of like how you bought your house or you buy a mortgage, like you have your bank money and then like you have your equity, right? So in this case, there's bank money, there's equity money, and then there's another chunk of equity money. So the people that I'm describing are preferred. They're actually get paid first before the common do. And they have about $550,000 in these properties. So I've been talking to them literally yesterday. And I said, would you allow Ligonier Capital, who's effectively me, to negotiate on your behalf? And of course, and they're all like, of course, figure something out, Jimmy. We don't want to lose our money. So if it's true that we have 25 or 28 Discord people, I'm confident we can get several hundred, right? And then we can stand up and I'll do a video inside the building and say like, hey people, come to the Pittsburgh airport Thursday night. We'll send one of those little buses, come here for the weekend. It may not be appropriate for people to stay there for a while until we get like bedrooms and that kind of thing, but there's lots of hotels in downtown Pittsburgh. And then we do like this 3 or 4 day boot camp where you get everything you ever wanted to know spoon fed to you, from digital assets to LLCs and everything in between. What does this, what's the effect of digital assets on estate planning, on crowdfunding, just all the things that I talk about on TikTok, just elaborated so that like in 3 days you go home and you're almost like a subject matter expert. To include, if you want to become an investment advisor representative, we would do a class that sort of gets you teed up to take the Series 65. Because if there's like 20 minutes of concepts that if you understand as you start to study for the Series 65, makes it much, much easier. If you don't have any financial background at all, there's just some basic ideas and terminology. So you'd have like these boot camp things, and instead of being, you could also sell that like going to a ski resort and it's $100 a day to ski, or you like buy the pass. So the Discord would be the pass. You follow me? Like the $100 a month would be like how we create revenue to actually support the property. So it's a little far out, but the other thing it would do is we could show the underwriting of like, how do you buy these distressed assets and what do you do with them? And how do you deal with the bank whenever you lose a tenant and all that stuff? We just make it completely transparent. And this is really what the spirit of like what crowdfunding and micro capital and tokenization is all about, because 99.99999% of the population have no idea how to do this shit. And again, it's my thesis that like Generation Z and and the millennials are going to transition away from this world of bigness of the mutual funds and stocks that already trade for $2 trillion is like how they're going to make money going forward. It just mathematically doesn't work. Meanwhile, there's like whole towns and strip malls and suburban homes and so forth that are under severe economic distress and also will be priced as such, right? As all these assets that the baby boomers have get transferred down the chain of command to like people my age and down below. There's two things that can happen. BlackRock is just going to own everything in America, or some really enterprising Generation Z people are going to start to use crowdfunding and tokenization to like take over the world. And that's what we're helping them do. So, so that's Bruno U. Is Landon on here? No. I gave Landon my debit card. He tried to place a transaction. I got the notification. I said, no, I didn't do that. So they turned off my debit card. Now I have to wait for another one to come through the mail. So Landon and I are having like a situation, getting Discord up and running. I'll stop there for a minute. Does anybody want to like throw out any pressing issues or anything that we should be talking about that I haven't addressed?
Hey, James, in regard to that property, were you talking about like, could we actually set up a DAO type coin and then actually like do the whole process kind of how we want it, just to almost like test pilot it, and we can document it along the way and kind of show people? Or
I missed the fucking punchline there. Was the LLC agreement that holds these preferred members is called Crowd America 412. Sound familiar? So we would name change and brand change that into, Jack knows this, PA 412, tokenize it, put it on Uniswap, and people could like walk in the building and like look at their phone and go, you mean I can buy this? So we could put the whole thing together, like right there. They could like go up to the wall and hit their head against it and go like, oh my God, that token that I just bought on Uniswap owns that piece of that preferred interest in here. And what I want to do is both take out some of the equity. They may want to be bought out, they may not. But the other thing we could do is completely take out the bank. So now we'd own the building free and clear. So a big part of all this crowdfunding shit that you do whenever you're under distress is, there's only one thing that can go wrong, and that is if you have a bank in front of you and you can't make the payments, right? Mm-hmm. For the most part, a property like that, you have to have some cash flow to keep the lights on and to pay the taxes. But it's one of my themes in this whole digital tokenization space, crowdfunding and so forth. They're really what you're just trying to do is put bundles of equity together so that you're not so reliant on banks. Mm-hmm. Like in the farming community, all these farms are levered out the wazoo. They go to farm credit and they get like millions and millions and millions of dollars of debt they're trying to service by milking cows. It's so toxic and absurd. This is how the world runs. And it's so dangerous. And it's why you constantly see these farms one after another. I think somewhere in one of my TikToks, I pointed out, Dr. Susan Shamian at the University of Maryland told me, when you get your milk check, at the bottom of it is the suicide hotline. Like, I mean, you can't laugh at that. But anyways, but Travis, back to your point. No, we would like bring the thing completely full circle. Like people could walk in the room and like have $1,000 at Uniswap and hit the button and buy PA 412 and be an owner. And that's the big fantasy, right? Is like you're going to be at a bar watching a band, you like the band, you're going to get on your phone and you're going to send them, $50 tip in ETH because you like the band. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that's coming from digitalization. And we're very, very close to it. All the guts of all that stuff exists. It's just the how and why hasn't been put together. Or you're going to go to a farm somewhere and like do some glamping. You stay in like a little cottage on the back 40, leave with some vegetables and some freezer beef or whatever. And like on the way, not only are you going to pay him or give him a tip, but you could buy a little bit of equity in the farm. That kind of stuff that's coming.
Yeah, I think it'd just be a great like concrete example of what our system using our DAOs launched it off of Dow too, like could just provide, and yeah, I think people would really appreciate that and be awesome.
Then once 412 exists, I mean, if you think about it, like $3 million in debt sounds like a big number. Well, it's not in a major metropolitan area. I mean, it's like, again, you know, 1,000 times 1,000 is 100,000, right? Or I'm sorry, 1,000 times 1,000 is 1,000,000. Sorry, it's just not that big of a number when you really think of it in terms of crowdfunding. We would have, back to regulation. So that deal was put together. Let me give you a little bit of like securities regulation bullshit. So that deal was put together as sometimes called like a club deal. Like everybody knew each other and we're all in the same town and everybody belongs to the same country club, so to speak. It's not really considered a security. In fact, there's a big opening in securities law that says that real estate can just do whatever they want as long as their primary business is real estate. That really wasn't the case in this situation. But Travis, so if you walked in and bought the token, the question is, isn't that a security? And the answer is yes. So that's one of the things that I'm going to confront Matt is how do we, the other thing you do is just say it's only accredited investors. I don't want to, as much as possible, I want to get beyond that. Now, so Jenny gets the big, prize at the end of the year at the Christmas party because the Discord channel might change everything. Because by paying that membership of $100 a month, it is like a country club. You follow me? Like they've already stepped into our world and said, yeah, we want to pay not just to buy that building, we want to pay to be part of this system. And the fact that they're there for education and so forth, it's almost like a secondary knock-on event that they're making the investment.
Right.
So it'd be like, I don't know, like members of a church, like we want to go buy that building and turn it into a church and everybody's going to throw in $1,000. Is that a security? Of course not. That's people really just, it's by happenstance that they are, is there 5 minutes left? Thanks, Melissa. So we got, thanks, Lau. So we got 5 minutes left. Is there any hanging chads that we should dig into right now? The big one for me is how do we get this transaction closed with Rob? Once we do that, Jack, it's like off the races. Like you can literally go do dozens and dozens. And when people see, when I hold up the map or like there's a number of different, like, I think MapMe is one. There's these software systems where you can have these programmable maps. And I think it'll be so cool for people. Like Jack keeps making tokens. We do 412 and so on and so forth. And then they click on Pittsburgh and then they click on Fort Pitt Boulevard and it takes them right to the building. Like that would really be, back to you, Travis, saying like it's a concrete example. They would get this sense of like, oh my God, I mean, like you have this all tokenized and I can drill down like right into my, exactly. That's exactly what we're trying to pull off. So, and I think all that software exists. And I think a lot of it's free or it's been around for 5 or 10 years because I've been looking at it. It's sort of like Zillow, how you go into like Atlanta and then you go to like Buckhead and then like you go look at the block of where the houses are that you're looking at, compare them to all the others. We could do something very similar. Jenny, what's going on in your world?
I don't know. I don't know. You've answered a lot of questions today.
Good.
What else have I got going? Well, do you want, I saw you post on the TikTok something with merch.
Yeah.
Is that, do you want me to still try to put that together or are you already doing that with someone else?
Oh, sorry. I thought the two of you were working on it together. No, Landon was starting to do that. I just stole the pictures and put them up there because I thought it looked cool. So you can reach out to him and see what he's doing. I know that there's a couple different ways to skin that cat. So if you two want to put your heads together and see.
Yeah, it's real simple. I just didn't know. It looked like you guys had already proceeded. And so I just wasn't.
I haven't heard more from him other than he threw those couple pictures together. So if you want to send him an email and say, how deep are you into this? And I already started, figured out between the two of you. No, I'm happy to do it with you, Jenny, because you got it started.
Cool. Okay. Secondly, you said you emailed us out that thing from Kingdom Trust.
I think so, yeah.
I haven't received anything.
Okay. I'll check when we jump off.
Yeah, I got
Beautiful.
it.
You did? What email address was it sent to? Do we know? I don't know. Anyhow, I'll
Second.
figure it out. I didn't get one. And then the other, I emailed Albert on, yes, Lyle,
It went to Jenny at brunocrypto.io.
which I don't have access to.
Okay, we need to get you that. I'll send
Yeah,
it.
I emailed Albert, but I did it from my Grayish Gardens email because I don't have access to Slack. I have it downloaded, but I don't have anybody's contact on there. I can't find anyone. So I've got to get one, I don't know, the chicken or the egg. I don't know which is which, but yeah, so if we can do that and then I can look at that and then we can go from there, and I will proceed with packaging the Bruno you merch with Landon. He
Okay,
and I are on the same page and he has history doing it. So it's perfect. And I've worked with lots of these companies as well in the past. So easy.
great. Great. What else? I think that's it. Why don't we kill it there? Mel does a good job of keeping us to like half an hour or so.
One longer term idea for
Yeah.
any storefronts
Yeah,
or any sort of building. Get a Bitcoin, some sort of a cryptocurrency ATM in the location.
Yes, yes, 100%.
yeah. People would just looking at the machine, they'd go like, what is that? And
Mhm.
money into it, or you can get Bitcoin out of it. And yeah. And I think they're not terribly expensive. They're like an ATM. They're like $1,200 or $2,000 or something like that.
Couple grand. I've already got the whole package going for another project with ATMs. There's a few in the valley where I'm at now. And
Nice.
Lyle, yes, we got it, Lyle.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really great addition to any sort of brick and mortar that we might be looking at, and a really nice. Cool.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
All right. Goodbye, guys.